I'm Mónica García, President of the LAUSD Board of Education, and welcome to Families Matter. Joining me each month is my co-host, Mónica García, the Chief of School, Family, and Parent Community Services. Our goal is to provide you information so that families can help their children graduate. Today's topic is the importance of attendance and the role that families play to ensure that their children are in school. Joining us later to discuss this issue is the Director of Pupil Services, Deborah Eduardo. But first, a chance for Maria and I to talk about the latest regarding families and parent services. Maria, I'm in. What's new?
I'm in too. Well, you can see that this is a wonderful thing. It's called the parent, it's in the parent portal. It's called the LAUSD Parent Access. And the I'm in campaign helps parents and children and the public at large understand what it is that we want children to participate in and the role of families in helping their children succeed. So this campaign has just been kicked off. And you can log on at families.lausd.net, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
And we're saying, I'm in, we want kids to be in class every
in
single
school,
day.
Ready to learn, you know, motivated to learn with a goal. I'm going to college, I'm going to have a career, you know, and families there like the Army right behind them.
Right.
So
and you're working on something that's exciting for all our parents,
yes.
Rights and responsibilities.
Parent rights and responsibilities, yes. This was a recommendation that came out of a task force about last spring. And they made a recommendation that we should define very specifically what rights parents have and what responsibilities they have. So last summer, it was a wonderful experience. Our staff went out to all the local districts so that they covered all of the different types of schools that we have across the district. And we met with about 250 parents to give us feedback about the language that they would like to see in this document called the Parents' Bill of Rights and Responsibilities. And so I think it's really apropos that we're talking about attendance, because I think that's the essential responsibility that parents have. First of all, they have the right to send their children to a free public school, hopefully a school filled with quality. But they have the responsibility to make sure that their children attend on a daily basis, because attendance really matters.
Right. So we want kids to be in school, and we want parents to be in on the campaign to get our kids to school.
Únete.
Únete. We'll be right back with the Director of Pupil Services, Deborah Eduardo.
Today's event is the I'm In campaign for Los Angeles Unified School District. I'm In is a universal, almost a slogan that we want to adopt in LAUSD. I'm in for eating right. I'm in for exercising. I'm in for attending school. I'm in for graduating. I'm in for being a good member of the community. It's encompassing to help the students become all that they can be. And as the Director of Food Services, we're emphasizing a new menu was revealed today, and it's mainly plant-centric. It's all fresh fruits and vegetables. We've changed the look of school lunch. The whole reason is so that we can help students do better in school and get away from the old image of school lunch food's not good.
Salvadorian beef, influential of El Salvador, sweet potatoes, carrots, onions, celery, and plantains. Different. K-12, very different. Plantains are inside, makes it really sweet and inspires all the other meats, all hand cut. Yakisoba, Japan, and flavors of chilies and tomatoes and mushrooms, bell peppers, and sugar snap peas, which you could all see provide the color and all the flavors. Sweet potato fries, and very interesting and fun, vegetable curry.
AC Green is here. He's here to help teach them and show them how to exercise fun. He's teaching some camps. We have a climbing wall over here, showing the young people that exercise. Get away from that computer all the time. Get away from the video games. Get out and do something every day for a couple of hours every day and exercise. It's important to lifelong wellness.
And I want you to be a whole player. I want you to be a complete player who can play offense, defense, who can go to your left and right. But at the same time, I don't want you to just be a basketball or a sports person. I want you to not only be a good athlete, but I also want you to be a good person. And that's what our character educators and coaches are going to help talk to you about.
It's important. I mean, camps are life lessons. You know, you teach character development inside of basketball. And so I love having a chance to really get involved with kids and try and teach them elements that's going to help them for life. It's not just about being fit, as important as that is, but learning about life and how to make good quality decisions. You can learn through sports, and that's what I like having my camps do. LAUSD, I thank you, you know, for in the sense of really being a part of doing an I'm In campaign and really having the initiative to really want to and put your money where your mouth is, as well as your educators where their mouth is, and really get out and try and do something very positive for our kids and our community. It's almost 1 million kids that you come in contact with, but the important thing is you're trying to do it. You know, it's up to the kids and to the families to receive, but you're offering, and that's what I really like.
Welcome back to Families Matter. Joining us now is Deborah Eduardo, the Director of Pupil Services. Welcome, Deborah.
Thank you.
You have a big job.
I do.
So we want to talk to our parents today about attendance and the importance of being in school every day for every child. Share with us.
There isn't anything more important than student attendance. Every bit of research that we looked at tells us that students that attend school every day regularly are going to be on track to graduate. And those students that have excessive absences fall behind, they missed important instructional time, and they're very much less likely to graduate than their peers.
Right. And can you tell me, where does the attendance factor begin to be a problem? Where does it start to show up?
It starts in kindergarten, and people are always surprised to hear that, but our highest level of excessive absence, or what we call chronic absenteeism, which means that children are losing or missing more than 10% of the school days, the school year. So for LAUSD, we have 180 days. If they're missing more than 18 days, they're chronically absent. And it's a very serious problem in kindergarten.
How is it that so many of our schools have good attendance numbers? I go to schools and it says 90%, 92, 95, and yet how many students do we have missing more than 18 days? How does that work?
Well, the problem is that if you look at the overall school-wide attendance, it could be 96%, but then you can still have pockets where you have certain students that have very poor attendance. And we want to make sure every single one of our students are attending school every day, have good attendance, and are on track to graduate.
Right. And I guess, you know, at kindergarten, it's really a function of the parent.
Absolutely.
So it's up to the parent to decide, not the child to decide, well, today I'm going to walk over to my school, right?
Right.
So what reason do parents give for keeping their children out of school?
Well, parents give lots of reasons, and we understand that things happen in life and sometimes the unexpected can happen. But parents give often will say, my car broke down, it was raining, it was cold, I didn't want to send my child to school because I thought they'd get sick. I had a medical appointment. I mean, there are various reasons, but really the only reason why a child should miss school is because they're sick. We don't want children to have medical appointments, dental appointments during the school day. We have a lot of other time after school and during their vacation time where we can schedule those appointments. We really want to set good patterns of attendance starting very early so that our children know attendance is important, that I attend school every day, and I don't miss school unless I absolutely have to, and that's because I'm sick.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I suppose that, you know, schools contribute to, like, having a campaign with the kids. So what are some good school practices that they can employ? What should a parent expect from a school to sort of motivate the student to be at school? And on the other hand, what are those practices that maybe parents need to instill in their children or in the home so that children are, you know, ready to go to school every day?
Well, of course, at the school site, it starts with good instruction and engaging children and making learning fun and interesting, providing a safe campus where everybody feels welcome and they know that they can do well in school. As far as our parents, you know, it's also about establishing routines and making sure that the night before they have everything that they need ready to go. So they have their homework, their school clothes, their backpacks, their lunch, so that they're not last minute going, oh my God, my uniform's dirty, I don't have anything to wear, I can't go to school. So we want to have those routines. But it's also really important that parents talk to their children about school, because children learn about the importance of school and attendance by the adults that they're surrounded by. So if parents say school is the most important thing, that's your job, I'm going to support you, but you need to go to school every single day, then children will really value that.
Yeah. Maria, you were sharing that you talked to 250 parents. We hear parents want their children to be successful in school.
Of course.
We hear parents who want to partner with the district. And do you have a sense that people know that attendance is that important and we need to make sure that we reduce this chronic absence?
Well, I'm not sure that they understand how serious it is. I think that when they want their kids to get a good education, they're intuitively, some parents just do all the right things. But I think, as Deborah has indicated, parents are stressed out sometimes.
Right.
Families have a lot of stresses on them, and just getting their children to school will require that they make a sacrifice, that they establish a very good routine for themselves. Because a child will learn that kind of behavior and that kind of expectation in the home. And this is why I think teachers depend on families, and why it has to be a partnership. Because a teacher is not in the home to make the child come to school. But a teacher depends on a family to establish the kind of routines that you were talking about. So for example, if you just, the child comes home from school, well, what homework did you have today? Or maybe they stayed in the after school program where they get to do their program, their homework. But they come home, so a conversation about what work did you do today? What was the most exciting thing about school, so that a parent can start to connect about the enjoyment factor. School can't be a drag.
Yeah. Right.
If it's a drag, why would kids want to keep going back? There's got to be parts of the day that are very enjoyable to them. And parents can connect. Look, who knows the child more than anybody is the parent.
Right. And
so
it's
establishing that, isn't that
establishing
something?
routines, and also checking up and connecting with the school and knowing what's going on with your child. So if there's an issue going on at school, addressing it early, talking to the teacher, listening. If you get those Connect Ed messages or a telephone call saying your child was absent today and you weren't aware of it, talking with your child about that, looking at their report cards to notice how many days they're absent. And for our secondary students, looking at period by period attendance. So are they going to first period but then not second, or really paying attention to where your child's at during the day and having those type of conversations with them.
Right. Unfortunately, we have a very high dropout rate. And the child who drops out probably in high school started to have some kind of an attendance problem earlier. Attendance is a huge contributor to the dropout rate that we have today.
That's right.
So I think for parents, they have to be aware that it is, in kindergarten, this is a very serious matter. Right. My child is forming the habits and the appetite. It's not just about the habit, it's about an appetite, ganas, wanting to go to school.
Absolutely. And when you talk about the dropout rate, poor attendance is one of the strongest indicators of which children are going to drop out of school. We know by research that's done in 6th grade, students that attend school poorly have an 80% chance of dropping out if they miss more than if they're absent more than 20% of the school year. In high school, it's more important than anything else, more important than test scores. If you look at the correlation between good attendance and being on track and actually graduating, attendance is the #1 indicator. So we really need to pay attention, because it's common sense. If you're not in school, you're not going to learn, you're not going to pass your classes, and you're not going to graduate.
Right. And it stresses out the whole system.
It does stress. It stresses out everyone. And right now, I want to make sure that our families know that LAUSD is ready to connect with them whenever the chaos in life relaxes, or whenever there's that willingness again to try. What can we tell families or students who are, maybe haven't been going to school haven't registered yet this year, or for some reason or another got disconnected last year and are interested in going to an adult school, going to their high school, or just doing something?
Well, we can tell them it's never too late. There's always an opportunity to come back to school and finish your education. I personally dropped out of school when I was 15 years old. I had a child when I was 16. I had a whole bunch after that. I have 7 children now, but at some point I
She's
realized
she's what we call saint.
at some point I realized that being out there without an education, living in poverty, is much harder than just coming back and getting that education. So for students that have children, that have to work, that have other conditions in their life that make it difficult for them to come to school, we want to say we have lots of options. You can do your whole high school program on the internet now, online. We have Saturday classes, we have adult ed courses, we have all types of opportunities, so don't be afraid to come back and let us know what your needs are, and we'll connect you to the appropriate placement.
So it seems like the LAUSD has been working on connecting with these students who are at home. I think, is it 1 in 5?
Yeah, the sad news is
students?
that the youth in Los Angeles between the ages of 16 and 24, actually 1 in 5 is out of work and out of school. So basically they're at home not doing anything, and we don't want anybody to be in a situation like that. So what we're doing is we're going out to the homes of these students and knocking on their doors and having conversations and telling them that we want them to come back to school, that we're here to support them, that there are lots of options to them, and that they can do it. We believe in them. We know they can do it.
Yes, we do. And so what would you say to someone who isn't quite sure about, going to the high school or picking up the phone? Well, how would you encourage them to make a decision that's going to affect them for the rest of their lives?
I'd say every day that they wait is a day further away from getting ahead and from advancing and from doing this. Just pick up the telephone, call, or walk into the last high school you attended, or visit our website and let us know what your needs are. You can come back to school, and it is difficult, but it's much more difficult being out there trying to survive without an education and without a job.
Right. And I think this is, this is something that parents need to be very aware of, that there really is no future without an education. In the past, many, many years ago, you might get a high school education and still fit into some kind of a job, some kind of a role out there for you. But the child today that drops out of school has no good future, no good present and no good future, and contributes to that ongoing cycle of sadness, quite frankly, for them, for their families now, and for their families in the future. So I think what we want to demonstrate to parents is that having their own self-discipline to make sure that their children form these good habits is their responsibility, that they can do it, that we need to encourage them. And we need to encourage parents who are stressed out to get help. Now, I know that many of our schools have wellness centers, they have parent centers. They can go in and seek help for themselves. They can also, Monica, get help for them when they don't know how to get their child to the school. So that it's not like just sending the child alone, but going with that kid to the school.
Absolutely, and being a parent is not an easy job. I mean, I think it's the hardest thing that I ever had to do, and it's difficult, and we all need support at times, and it's okay to ask for help. And they can come into our schools, or they can call us, and we're able to tell them these are the resources that we can help you so that you can get your child back into school. And to be kind to themselves. Don't beat yourself up. Just say, this is what I need to do, and there's people here that are able to help you. Don't be afraid to come back and let us know you need support.
Yeah, I love that education offers opportunity every day. And so when things haven't worked out, we don't need folks to be perfect. It doesn't have to all be on the first try. There are so many pathways to get back on, because we know that education can interrupt poverty, right? We have all kinds of stories of people who have re-engaged in, it didn't work. Or it was difficult, and folks want to try again. And I think, what have you shared, or what have you found in the students who do come back?
Students who come back are very excited to be back. When we go and we visit homes of students who aren't in school, they always tell us they're not happy. They don't want to be at home doing nothing. They want to be re-engaged. They want to do something where they can feel good about themselves. They just need that support. But the other thing that's really important that parents need to know is that next year we're going to a different way of how we do our budgeting in this district. It's going to be per pupil budgeting. So every single day of attendance counts more than ever. Not just because the student is going to miss that critical instructional time, but every day a student is absent, that school loses valuable resources that we need in order to continue our educational program, our arts program, our support services. So every day child stays home from school, it's a loss of money that comes into to the district at a time where we really need every penny.
Right. So we want parents to know it's super important to develop good habits with our younger kids who are coming to school and depending on the parents. And then if something doesn't work, we want parents to know they can help get information, or those students can get information on how to reconnect with this district.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And I think it's important to know that if parents need the help, they can get the help as well.
Definitely.
I think that's as important, because so many of our parents that don't understand how to navigate the system give up, not because they wanted to give up, but simply because they didn't know where to go for help. So I think attendance is a community-wide issue. It isn't just a family issue, and it isn't just a school issue. It is a community issue. And so I'm very happy to know that you're going out, knocking on doors all the time, that other volunteers are helping with you, that schools care to have these kids back in school,
Yes.
and that we aim to get them back. Because that's the only way our society is going to improve. If we don't have a good quality of education, and we don't have children participating in the educational process, our future looks bleak for all of us.
Absolutely.
And here's the deal with LAUSD in 2011. We've got 56% of our kids graduating from high school, which means we have a lot of kids and a lot of families that we still have to help them connect how to finish. So maybe it's 56% for the 4 years. Maybe we get up to 66, close to 70 in our alternative these kind of programs of how do you connect, but we have a lot of work to do.
We certainly do, and we need everybody to come together and work on this, because as you said, it's a community issue. So we need parents, we need people at our school sites, we need people in the community, we need our religious organizations, we need everyone working together to support our children so they can finish school.
Yeah, I want to make sure our parents know, Maria, not to be afraid. That, you know, we want to be helpful in creating that pathway.
And I think in order for that to happen, I'm glad that you're mentioning it, is because I think all of our school personnel must work in a very concerted way to make schools much more welcoming for our parents.
Yes.
You know, schools, even for those of us that have gone to school here in this country, who have had to navigate the system, whatever, the school is still very powerful. I was a school principal at the time that my youngest child was in middle school. And I remember going to a parent-teacher conference, and they told me not to worry, things were going well. He was a very good little citizen. And what really was concerning me at the time was that I wasn't sure he was reading at the level that he was supposed to be for his age. And they kept telling me that he was a very good little citizen. And here I am, a school principal, and I know I wanted to ask more, but I thanked them and walked away. And it was only when I got in my car that I thought, oh, I should have asked all these questions. So we are intimidated. We are intimidated, and we have to know how it feels to be a parent who may not speak English well, or a parent who hasn't totally completed their own education, who doesn't feel comfortable, you know, going to the front office and saying, excuse me, I'm right here, can you help me please? Can you really help me? And being very persistent about it, because, you know, we don't want to bother people. But for our children, I think what we want parents to know is that is your role. That is your responsibility. God sent you here, sent these children to you, and now you better be sure that they get to school every day, on time, ready to learn.
Absolutely, and it's also understanding how the school system works. So understanding how many credits you need to graduate, and how whether or not you're taking the right classes to be on a college path. So we have workshops, we have things to help parents understand, because it can be confusing, to let them know this is what you need in order for your child to go on to college. And so we want to welcome parents and not to feel intimidated, and that doesn't matter if they don't speak English. It's also, there shouldn't be any barriers that prevent them from enrolling their children in school. Sometimes parents don't have proof of residency, or they don't have the necessary papers that they need in order to enroll. There's never any reason why they can't enroll. Just bring them to one of our schools. We'll give them a waiver. They'll have time to get the information that they need in terms of Tdap and other immunizations. But we don't want any excuse for a parent not to feel like they can't bring their child to school.
So we know that attendance is an everyday job, and we know for our parents and for our students, we need to send the message, we need you in school every single day. Every day matters. And then every day there's an opportunity to connect if you haven't yet come back to the district. We've been talking about being in.
And yeah, look what we're telling our parents here, you know. Make sure your child attends school every day and is always on time, so they don't drag in and have a bad hair day, right? Set a schedule so your child gets 8 to 10 hours of sleep daily. I want to be a kid again. I want 8 to 10 hours of sleep, right? Provide your child a healthy and nutritious breakfast at home, or make sure they're getting it at school. So that's another little checklist.
And we have a new menu that all the parents would approve of.
Oh, yes.
Healthy, delicious food.
Yes.
Healthy, delicious
And
food.
then I think really important, reinforce your child's positive behavior and high expectations. Yes, you can do it. Sí, mijito. Vamos, let's go. Let's do this together.
Absolutely.
Because a child that knows that mom and dad are working with them, or an adult who is an important person in their life,
your
is
tia, your
pushing
Nina,
them towards that, you know?
Right.
So,
but also to be able to play that role of the disciplinarian when it's necessary. So if your child is not doing their homework or not going to school without your consent, that you have those conversations with them, and that if you need to take away things, that there are consequences. You know, it's difficult as a parent, but we don't want to just be their friend. We want to be able to make sure they're doing the right thing.
Right, we want to be in charge. I mean, I always used to tell the parents when I was a school principal, we do a really good job with our kids until they get taller than us. And so, and it's when they're getting taller than us that we need to influence them. So ladies, I want to just tell you our time is up, and it's been just a privilege to have you here, Deborah
Thank you
Dardo,
so much.
a wonderful example for all children and all our staff. So I want to thank all of you for joining us on Families Matter, and please visit our 2 new websites, families.lausd.net and parentaccess.lausd.net. Your involvement makes all the difference. For Monica and our guest, see you next month. And remember, families really, really matter. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.